Welcome back to Marathon of the Planet of the Apes. With the critical and financial success of the first movie, Fox considered doing a sequel. Like you do, though figuring out what to do for a second film took a bit of time considering they wanted to start putting out at least one movie per year. Like, after turning down Rod Serling's proposed ideas, they turned to Pierre Bol for a possible draft which he called Planet of the Men, which ended up being turned down as well. Eventually, they got co-writer Paul Dane, known for adapting Goldfinger, to help script out a potential movie with associate producer Mort Abrahams. While that was going on, Fox hired Ted Post to direct the movie, as Franklin Schaffner was committed to working on the movie Patton, even if he had reservations against the script he was given, which I'm sure to bring up at the end. He did ask for Michael Wilson, writer for the first movie, to come back, but budget cuts prevented that from happening. And of note, the first movie had a budget of $5.8 million, while this one only had $2.5 million. So it certainly seems like another Jaws situation given the production troubles and things yet to be covered. But I think we should start getting into this movie and see what the hell happened beneath the Planet of the Apes. So after a brief showing of some of the last two scenes of the first movie, we begin with Taylor and Nova traveling through the Forbidden Zone looking for a new life. However, we see that elsewhere, another spacecraft has landed on Earth, with the only two survivors being Brent, played by James Franciscus, and Skipper, the latter who is clearly about to die.
I took an Earth time reading just before re-entry. What'd you get? 3955.
Wait, 3955? The last movie said it was 3978. Either this was a mistake on the writer's half, or the instruments on their ship were faulty. Either way...
Space is warped and time is bendable.
Apparently they were looking for Taylor and crew and now have shared the same fate as each other. They even lament the fact that everyone they knew is probably long dead. And Skipper dies right after that, so he gets buried. While pondering what to do next, Brent hears the sound of a horse nearby, and it happens to be carrying Nova. Where's Taylor, you might ask? Well, as he examines the dog tags containing Taylor's name, showing Brent that she knows him, we flash back a bit to what they were doing just beforehand. He was trying to get Nova to say their names, but during the trip, something unusual happened. Well, that came out of nowhere. I know they've yet to reach the kind of editing capability that we have now, but this still feels like badly done since the fire just appears with no initial explosion or anything. Then there's lightning despite the absence of clouds, a random earthquake that splits the ground open. Like, what is going on here? He then leaves Nova to investigate, and then... What the hell was that? I get needing this effect for when he actually goes into the wall, but the shot before it? Really? And if this is to imply that most of this is some kind of controlled illusion, given the lonely shot of Nova afterward, I seriously have to question what is going on and how this will relate to the new character. Brent asks Nova to take him to Taylor, and she seems to understand enough to take him to Ape City, as there are people who can talk there. Here we get to meet another new character, General Ursus, played by James Gregory, who was part of Pierre Bol's draft for the movie, and although that draft was turned down, I can see them reusing many elements for this movie.
I'll tell you one thing that every good soldier knows. The only thing that counts in the end is power. Naked, merciless force!
And yeah, he's just as power-hungry as any racist military baddie. It seems Dr. Zaius isn't quite on board with Ursus's plan to conquer the Forbidden Zone, as is with Zira and Cornelius, now played by David Watson, at least for this movie. Brent is, of course, distraught over what he sees and tries to leave with Nova. Of course, some lowly guard who just happens to be scouting the area seems to suspect intruders, but ultimately finds nothing. Why didn't our two humans take the horse with them? It was literally right there. Oh goody, naked apes in a steam room. It seems even Ursus is aware of the strange phenomenon that's occurring in the Forbidden Zone, as he tells Zaius about what his troops saw. Maybe I'm crazy, but is it me, or do they look larger when not wearing full clothing? Well, anyway, moving over to Zira and Cornelius, Zira is fuming over today's meeting and how stupid the gorillas are. Oh, and our two human characters are here now.
We'd be worse than them.
I don't agree. Gorillas are cruel because they're stupid. All bone and no brain.
Well, not all gorillas are like that, Zira. Be more tolerant to your fellow ape man. Anyway, Nova shows them Brent, and they're of course astonished of there being another talking human. Not too much comes of them meeting, just, I need food and a direction to go to. No chance to explain how he came to this planet, especially since Dr. Zaius shows up to tell the two how he's going with Ursus into the Forbidden Zone to find out what the hell is going on. I'm surprised he's even talking with them regarding science, since the previous movie made it seem like he was getting them arrested. Well, whatever. After he leaves, the two tell Brent to keep safe and not to speak around the gorillas.
If they catch you speaking, they will dissect you and they will kill you in that order.
At any rate, they start leaving on horseback, except somebody shoots it. Seems the gorillas are onto them already, and it doesn't take long for them both to be captured. They're imprisoned with some other humans, and we see them use the humans as target practice. Hope those horses aren't being harmed. That'd be breaking the don't harm animals rule of filmmaking. Luckily for them, they're taken to that one lab that Zira works in, so it should be easy to get them back.
No. No, you can't have them. They're marked for target practice.
Then why did you bring them here? They were already at the training area a few moments ago. You could have just dropped them off if that's what you wanted. You probably only took them because Zira wanted them, and you're still mad that she didn't like your power speech earlier. Well, whatever. Before they get taken away, she double locks the door to their cell, so they can get out later. Unfortunately, even after escaping, the gorillas are following them, but they're able to escape into a nearby cave. A cave that appears to have tiled walls. That's because they entered the remains of the Queensboro Plaza in the New York City subway. So now Brent realizes that he landed back on Earth in the far-off future.
Almighty. This used to be my home. I lived here, worked here. What happened? What could have happened?
Not quite as dramatic as when Taylor broke down, but still reasonable. Meanwhile, as Ursus and Zaius prepare to march out into the Forbidden Zone, Zira and Cornelius wonder what can be done about any of this, despite there being only a few of them. Well, maybe not, since there are others protesting this as well. How very relevant, even now. Brent urges Nova to move further into the subway as more guerrilla soldiers approach the area. This on top of something urging them further in. It's weird too that this sound turns on and off whenever Brent touches this ladder. As they go through the subway, they come across the remains of New York that were above ground. It's so bizarre, yet I find it kind of fascinating. Whatever did happen to Earth long ago, it caused most of it to sink into the ground, so it's any wonder why no one's found these old cities after so long. Of course, I do have to question if other ape societies exist to where any of them know about this as well, or if they're as stuck in the past as old Dr. Zaius himself. At one point they stop to drink from this fountain, and while Nova drinks, Brent has something take hold of him and he tries drowning her. Seems whatever is making that sound is causing this, though he's able to fight it long enough to enter the St. Patrick's Cathedral. Inside there appears to be a person, praying to what appears to be a golden missile with the Alpha and Omega signs on the wing. He tries to leave as the man praises it, but...
What did you say? What do you mean there's no point?
So if this is to imply the man is psychic, okay, but at this point we know the guy can talk normally, so talk! Otherwise, we can at least confirm the existence of humans that seemingly survived the apocalypse. Apparently, their telepathy lets them do astral projection, as in this one shot. As Brent has shown to the console, they keep doing the damn telepathy sound when they can just talk normally. It's getting annoying otherwise. The point of this scene is that Brent exposits how he came to this planet and through whatever time hole he went through. And then, because they don't trust him, they bombard him with telepathy and fast edits.
I can't separate. He's right. He has only limited intelligence. We should speak aloud. And one at a time.
Thank you! Was starting to get annoyed. So according to them, the missile they have is an atomic bomb that they claim is a weapon of peace. They also have power to cast illusions and sound since they don't have any other weapons to use. And yet they wish to know if the apes he's met are coming out of peace or war. But of course, Brent insists he knows nothing and the council is getting impatient.
She can't help you. She can't even talk. Don't harm her.
We never harm anyone, Mr. Brent. You're going to harm her.
Okay, while I admit that Brent's performance in this is pretty good, I do feel like this should have been a moment for Taylor. I mean, he's had the most attachment to Nova. Why isn't he the one confronting these guys? Hell, it feels like this could have been an entirely different movie if they never introduced Brent and just kept Taylor as the main focus. They're already leaning into Pierre's original draft by implying a potential war between man and ape, so why bother giving us somebody new with little development or attachment to our recurring cast? And I gotta say, I am really not digging these psychic humans. If they're so powerful, why didn't they just mind probe them for the intel they need? Why bother going through this process that borderlines torture when they can get the answers right away? And then after they force him to assault Nova...
Semiotic, you're lying.
Just what is their end game here? What do they want him to say? What are you doing here? Oh, but the second time he says it, they have no rebuttal. We then see the ape army making their way into the Forbidden Zone and eventually come across what might be an illusion of apes being crucified upside down on crosses while an unmoving fire effect stands before them. And for added measure, some of them are still moving like they're being burned alive. And oh, let's add a large statue of their ape deity, the Lawgiver, burning as well. Don't forget the crying blood effect.
Have any pity. Bid your soldiers to shoot our poor people.
I can't order them to do what the lawgiver has forbidden. Ape shall not kill ape.
I think the Lord can make an exception for you, since if they are beyond saving, then best put them out of their misery. Zaius sees through this vision and goes through, and although at first it seems like he's done for, the illusion ends. The apes move on with their advance, and as for the humans watching this...
We have no defense.
Accept our bomb. Call our people to High Sanctuary.
Well, when all else fails, let's not use your telepathy to stun and or steal their weapons. Let's just go jump to Doomsday Weapon. They hold a religious ceremony for the weapon, and I guess Brent and Nova are powerless to do anything since they're sitting nearby. If it weren't for the earlier scenes, I might have been more into this crazy death cult, especially when they reveal what they really look like. So, fun note, Ted Post based these mutant designs off a picture from Grey's Anatomy showing a person's face with all their skin peeled off. It sounds like they have shelters in place for when the bomb goes off, though now it's time to say hello to our dear friend Taylor, who has only now made his return to the movie, within the last 15 minutes of screen time. Good thing they know each other.
Is she with you? Where?
I don't know where she is. They separated us. They were trying to make me kill her.
We're a peaceful people. We don't kill our enemies. We get our enemies to kill each other.
Like that's any better. And naturally, they have the two fight using their powers. I just really can't get into this. What they're trying to do with the mutants might have had potential in another draft, but it just feels really off-putting that they made them completely devoid of any thought or rationale and just resort to using their powers to make our heroes fight for no reason. Is this to show that both sides are irrational? I mean, Ursus just wants to kill humans because that's what their god dictated, and the mutants are hypocritical by having them kill each other despite wanting peace. Whatever, Nova shows up and... Well, that was painfully easy. By the way, this mutant they killed was named Angara, played by Don Pedro Colley. You can probably guess what sort of derogatory credit he had. But oops, they locked themselves in. And I guess Angara had enough life in him to remove his skin before dying. Okay. Brent tells Taylor about the atomic bomb they had, which had the Alpha Omega symbols on it. They determined that it is indeed a doomsday bomb that could easily destroy the entire planet. Just like that, Zaius and Ursus discover the underground passage and make their way through, while our three human characters try breaking out of here. And I guess even the powerful psychic mutants are powerless against the Apes' awesome power of shooting a gun. What happened with forcing enemies to fight each other? Well, I think they mentioned the Apes being too thick-skulled to be fully affected. I don't know. Our heroes have no choice but to fight their way out, but when one ape shows up, Nova gets shot and she dies.
Should let them all die. The gorillas, every damn... Look what it comes to.
Well, that sucked. But it ain't over yet. The apes arrive in the central chamber where the mutant leader, who by the way is named Mendez, played by Paul Richards, not that I care for this character, happens to be as he begins activating the mechanism. The apes are certainly unimpressed by his god, and he dies. Ursus decides he'll try and destroy this god, despite Zaius warning him not to since it's a human weapon. So it's up to Taylor and Brent to stop them before the weapon detonates. Taylor gets shot during the distraction, Brent gets shot to hell after shooting Ursus, and despite Taylor begging Zaius for help...
You asked me to help you? Man is evil, capable of nothing but destruction.
Not the time, asshole!
Bloody bastard.
Oh, shit. There goes the planet.
In one of the countless billions of galaxies in the universe lies a medium-sized star. And one of its satellites, a green and insignificant planet, is now dead.
Well, that was a rather downer ending. And yeah, this was the ending conceived by Charlton Heston as one of his conditions when he was coaxed back into playing Taylor again, as a way to prevent any more sequels from being made. Fox studio head Richard D. Zanuck pushed for Heston's idea as a reaction to his father, Daryl F. Zanuck, firing him from the board of directors due to the studio being on the verge of bankruptcy at the time, bluntly telling Ted Post to blow up the planet, as he also didn't want any more sequels made. But Ted and most people working on the movie didn't like this ending, later writing in a letter, "The loss of a planet is a loss of all hope." Well, that seems to be a running theme with these movies. No hope for humanity, not even a spark. While the first movie was bittersweet, knowing Taylor was still alive meant that he could still pull through this. But now it doesn't matter anymore because they not only killed Nova, but blew everyone up. If there was any other point to doing that besides conflicts of interest in what to do with this franchise, Well then, I couldn't really find it. The mutants feel poorly implemented given how supposedly powerful they are, except to the apes, and without any explanation to their existence besides nuclear radiation after thousands of years. Zira and Cornelius barely got to do anything, the dynamic involving Zaius and Ursus is underutilized, Taylor is relegated to the last 15 minutes of the movie, and Brent is completely underdeveloped, even with the rewrites the director suggested to fix his character. Those budget cuts must have really hurt the movie, not just with the special effects, but even many of the ape extras and crowd shots had to resort to wearing pullover masks. This was just a bad production all around. And yet, despite the beating it took from critics, it was still successful at the box office, making back $19 million. And despite how it ended, Fox still wanted a sequel, with Arthur P. Jacobs sending a telegram to Paul Dane that read, "Apes exist, sequel required." What would come of this? We'll find out next time when we escape from the planet of the apes.